Wonderful. And with that, we'll begin. Hello again, welcome, and thank you for joining today for the public launch of the Green Olive Solidarity Network. My name is Erez Bleicher, and I'm the Membership and Advocacy Director of the Green Olive Collective, an advocacy, information, and tour guiding center committed to a democratic future and an end to the ongoing displacement of Palestinians. We provide communities around the world with insight into the oppressive policies of the occupation and the resources to engage in meaningful advocacy and solidarity with Palestinians. In this time of ongoing anguish, it is often difficult to know what we can do to express our solidarity and tangibly support Palestinians facing displacement, mass eviction, and unprecedented state violence. That is why we are launching a new advocacy and mutual aid network that will allow people around the world, like yourselves, to maintain direct and sustained relationships with Palestinians living under military rule and tangibly support on-the-ground activism in the occupied West Bank. The occupation regime does all it can to fracture Palestinian society, contain them in physical and imaginative cantons, and isolate them from each other and from the world. Despite the system of ever more refined segregation the military regime imposes, Palestinian communities have worked steadfastly to build robust networks of local and transnational solidarity and call for communities around the world to stand with them against land expropriation, home demolitions, and settler violence. What we do or don't do in response to this call has real-life consequences for communities on the ground. And today, we invite each of you here to help expand this ever-growing network of trust, solidarity, and co-resistance by launching a solidarity circle in your community. A solidarity circle is a group of people committed to maintaining sustained and direct relationships of solidarity with Palestinians, amplifying the voices of activists living under occupation, supporting on-the-ground activism in the West Bank, and becoming advocates for change in their local communities. Participants in solidarity circles will join monthly online meetings with residents of communities in the West Bank in order to maintain direct contact, learn about the lived reality of occupation, engage in advocacy in the places they live, and ground that activism in direct relationships with Palestinians living under occupation. Participants will also become members of the Green Olive Collective and contribute monthly on a sliding scale to sustain regular solidarity projects and work days on the ground in the West Bank and materially support the steadfastness of Palestinian communities in the face of military occupation. Settlers benefit from massive philanthropic structures of support and government subsidies that fund their expropriation of Palestinian land. We need to counter that by sustaining solidarity initiatives and co-resistance efforts. The Green Olive team will work with every solidarity circle that forms to understand the kinds of activities that are most meaningful and strategic in the context of their community and give them various tools to engage in various forms of solidarity, including education and public awareness building. With these resources and many others we can provide, like participating in local and global collective action, for example, like the Global Salon Against Eviction in Firing Zone 918 that we organized about a year ago, where over 10 cities around the world held demonstrations and educational public awareness building salons around the world on the same day to amplify the voices of activists on the ground. This and other campaigns will be part of the work of solidarity and of the solidarity circles, along with supporting solidarity initiatives on the ground by providing monthly sliding scale contributions, by amplifying the voices of people on the ground, and by building these direct relationships of solidarity over time. I'm very grateful to be joined today by Basel Adra, Gamar Hureini, and Emily Glick to hear more about the urgent imperative of solidarity and about the current reality in the West Bank, and to speak about the civil resistance networks all of you here are being invited to participate in through this new platform. Basel Adra is a Palestinian lawyer, journalist, filmmaker, and activist from A-Tuwani in Masafer Yatta. He is the co-director of No Other Land, a documentary that depicts the struggle of his community against displacement, and received the Best Documentary and Audience Choice Awards at the Berlinale Film Festival. Gamar Hureini is a member of Youth of Sumud and the Mothers of Sumud project in A-Tuwani in the South Urban Hills, a women-led project that resists land expropriation in Area C of the occupied West Bank. She is a powerful advocate on behalf of her community and against military and settler violence in Masafer Yatta. Emily Glick is a solidarity activist who has worked for many years in support of Palestinian-led civil resistance efforts in the South Urban Hills through her work with the Storytelling Project, All That's Left, Anti-Occupation Collective, Center for Jewish Nonviolence, and Active Stills. Gamar, Basel, and Emily, thanks to all of you for joining today and for your time. It's really appreciated. And with that, I'll start by asking Basel and Gamar to introduce themselves, and we'll go from there. I should say that as Basel, Gamar, and Emily share, everyone should feel free, please, to send questions into the chat. Just mark at the beginning with the word question, followed by a dash or colon, so I know to look for it. And hopefully, we may have some time for questions, and I can integrate your questions into a session at the end in an open conversation. And with that, thanks again, Gamar, Basel, and Emily. And I'll turn to you. I'll start, I think, by asking you, Basel and Gamar, to introduce yourself and tell us more about the popular struggle against the occupation in Tuwani. Can you tell us more about yourself and about the kinds of activities, projects, and work that you do as a justice advocate in Masafer Yatta? You should be able to unmute yourself, Basel, if you want to start.
Thank you, Iris. Hello, everybody. So as Iris said, my name is Basel Adra from a small village called A-Tuwani in a town of Masafer Yatta in the South-occupied West Bank. I studied law and I'm a journalist and a filmmaker. I just chose journalism and filming and the camera in order to transfer what's happening in the field, in my village, in the town, in Masafer Yatta to the world. The thing that attracted me the most is that I see bulldozers coming every week almost to Masafer Yatta and destroying buildings, either homes, schools, water wells, destroying roads, sheep shelters, whatever structures belong to the Palestinians, and just move away. And I look like out of here, out of Masafer Yatta, and I see nobody cares. Nobody even knows about Masafer Yatta. Almost, not nobody knows, but almost like most of the people doesn't know about our existence, about our community, about the reality on the ground and what's happening here. So that's what attracted me, like in the first moment. Like I need to film this. People should know about what's happening here. People should know about our life, about us as Palestinians living in this area and in this reality and what we are fighting for and what we just like calling for, which is just to live normal life as a human beings with like dignity and freedom of movement and building our homes without being like threatened of to be destroyed by like foreign military forces on the ground here. And there like I start like filming using video camera and then also writing the story of like stories here and there about demolitions, about settlers and settlements, about like how it affect our life and how our life is become miserable and stressed by the presence of the Israeli military forces and settlers on the ground on our land. And the fact also that I'm like activist and decided to confront the occupations, that I grew up in this small village where the people here, I'm speaking about the generation of my father, of my mother, and the entire people of the community here who chose to not be silent in front of the occupation machine and decided to fight back, to act non-violently in order to change this reality. And actually, in my small village, A-Tuwani, there was examples of success of this activism, and this is the most motivated me. So I want to give you one story about the education in Masafer Yatta. In the 90s and before, there was no school's existence. So, for example, the generation of my father, my mother, again, and generations even after that was not able to be educated. Was not, there was no choice to go to school, and those whose very like small number who have been educated at that time need to walk from where we live toward area A, which is like 5 kilometers in the best case, walking in order to reach the school in a very risky road. Risky because of the presence of the Israeli military, and you have to cross a road that settlers usually cross with it. And also you have like animals and in some part of it, like dogs and other animals, and children are not like safe for them to walk there. So many of the community missed the opportunity to be educated. And 1998, my village in A-Tuwani, like the people decided that they want to build a school and to stop, and they want to give like opportunity for their kids, to us I mean, to be educated. So they went to the BA leaders and they asked for a fund, for a money that they need to build a school, and they got it, and they start working on the ground and building a school. And the first day they started, there was like an invading by Israeli military jeeps that threatened the people if they continue to work. They would arrest them, and they would confiscate the machines and the tools, the equipments that the people are using and working and building this school. And this is like a story that my mother really like to tell it, and to publish it. That she and other women in the community decided to stay near the tools and the equipment during the day, and at night the men do the work, and the women go in the mountain watching if a military jeep's coming back toward the village, and they shout to the men who's working to run away. And they continued this way for 20 days until they built the 3 rooms, and which is the first school to be existent in Masafer Yatta, in a 20 small villages located in the southern occupied West Bank. And people saw it like a dream and a big thing that they did. For sure, after they just built it, the army came and issued like a demolition order. And from then, also the residents of the village were able to get help by Israeli left-wing lawyer who offered in helping and to defend and to stand by this lawsuit against the Israeli army in the Israeli court. And I remember myself studying in this like these rooms where we are like two classes in one room, and it's really challenging thing that the class time need to be divided in wise. The teacher need to manage the just when I grow up, I understand how messy it was and how not easy for teachers to deal with two classes of children in one room, and they have to teach both like first grade and second grade, for example. And from then the community, sorry, moved on and built a clinic with the same way exactly, and start to add more rooms to the school, and start like I remember 2010, which is like 12 years later, and I was at that event where the community in 2006 started applying to get like permission for the electricity, and we were not able to get this permission. So in 2010, they decided that they were gonna do it by their hands and not waiting for the permission, because there will be never permission. And we built towers from area A, which is the city of Yatta, toward our village, A-Tuwani. And I remember one day in the winter of 2010, it was almost going to be dark, like very late afternoon. A military jeeps and a truck invade the entrance of the village, and they wanted to start to confiscate the towers of the electricity. They thought that they're coming in like close to the darkness and under a heavy rain in that day, that the people of A-Tuwani want to go and confront these forces. But it was not true. I just like in that moment see everybody, including myself, my siblings, my mother, Gamar's family, every family in the village, children, women, men. I assume nobody that day stayed at home. Children, women, men, everybody ran to the gate of the village and put our bodies in front of the Israeli truck and jeeps. They bring the jeep close to us as kind of threatening that they would crash us to scare us away. Nobody moved, like one step back. They managed to take two towers down, but they didn't manage to take more than that. And we blocked it under heavy rain, and we stand for hours until they give up and move away, and they never come back. And today our village is connected to the electricity because of that event, because we decided to confront and to build by ourselves. I want to say something very important in the game of whenever you hear, and this is what they like to lie about, whenever they come to destroy a school, a water well, an electricity connection for the Palestinians, they would say it's illegal. But the law here is a power of the occupation that they write the law for themselves to legitimize the existence of the occupation of the Israeli military forces and the settlements. And this is very clear when you see a Palestinian village without electricity, water, and all the life requirements, and you see next to it an Israeli Jewish settlement. They have everything. And if the settlers, which is true, want to build like a cow farm, this cow farm will have all the water it needed, electricity, paved roads, even shelters. But Palestinian students can't have school, can't have clean water to drink, can't have electricity, can't have a school bus, they can't have safety for their teachers to come from the city to teach them. And all of this under a pretext, it's illegal. But we always apply for permissions. And 99% of the permissions that we apply to the Israeli authorities that we want to establish something, it's rejected. So whether we go apply for permission or whether we don't, they destroy the structures that we built in most of the cases. As I said, 99%. In Masafer Yatta, which is 20 small villages, only the village of A-Tuwani, mine village, is recognized as have life requirements, and others under a full threat of destruction by Israeli forces. And this can happen at any time, at any moment. And all settlements around us and outposts and farms for the settlers have everything they need, and all is provided by the state of Israel, by its army, by its police, by its ministers. Everything's under the serve of the settlers.
Thank you, Basel. Thank you for sharing with us about the history and the active tradition of popular resistance that is alive in Tuwani, and the popular struggle through which all of you were able, in your families, your community, to win a school, to win electricity, to win the right to build, and a master plan. And also thank you for highlighting the ways that in the occupied West Bank, it is the civil administration, a unit of the military, which denies 99% of building permits to Palestinians and then issues demolition orders in an unjust reality. Gamar, I want to ask you now, if you can, to introduce yourself, tell us your name, more about your family, the work that you do in your life, and about the kinds of activities, projects, and works that you do also in Masafer Yatta and in A-Tuwani.
So, good evening for everyone. I hope that all of you are in good mood and all of you are okay. So, my name is Gamar Hureini. I'm 18 years old. I'm from Palestine. I live in the West Bank, South Hebron Hills, in Masafer Yatta area. Exactly, I'm from Tuwana village, which is the gate of Masafer Yatta area. I want to tell you that I live in A-Tuwani here in this village since my birth. I didn't leave from here or travel, so I just spent all of my life here in this area. So I can speak like really comfortably about my area, about my home, because I feel that's my home. It's my town. Where did I live? Where did I have my all memories and all of my life actions? And so. As I told you, I am 18 years old. So last year I finished my last year of school, the last year of high school. This year I have to be in the university, but because of the bad situation now, I didn't join. So I joined something which is more close to me, like using something more close to my soul that I can like spend all of my life away, like really away and far from the really bad situation which is we are in. Like courses about what I love, drawing, arting, makeup, something, this stuff. So before I want to give you information about our area. After Basel, he give you a really big background about our area, which is coming in area C. We know that area C, it comes down of the occupation, the Israeli occupation authority. So to be in this area is really hard to live and to continue your life as you want or as you are planning. To me, I had a lot of experiences here in this area, exactly with my family. All of my family had their family members. They had their experiences till the youngest one. I will start with my grandmother, Fatma Hureini. She had been forced to leave from really couple of times from couple of places that she was living in, like Al Garitain, which is in Nakab. She had been forced to leave from there, and she traveled to A-Tuwani village, and then in the 18s she forced to lost her land from to because of the occupation. They took the land to put the Maun settlement in 18s. And then she had a lot of experience like about attacking by the settlers, by the occupation members. She lost her eyes, and then she have a lot of attacks, and she they attacked her by like picking her out from her land while shepherding in her land, which is real close for the settlement where is the her land where was in the past. And until now, it's our land, but it's like, we really lost it by forest, but from the occupation. And then there's my dad, who has been arrested a couple of times and attacked a couple of times. From when I was kid, I saw all of that things when I born here in A-Tuwani. And then he arrested, and he was really far from us for long times, for a couple of times. And he had been arrested in our land, when he was shepherding with his mom or with his brothers in his land, shepherding, or he's doing his work like as a farmers. Here, most of the people in Masafer Yatta, we are farmers. He got attacked a couple of times, but by no, there's no right to attack him. And then there is in 2000, in the street, in the gate of A-Tuwani, while we were like trying to have electricity in A-Tuwani and water. As Basil said, we had tried like really difficultly to have the electricity and water here in Masafer Yatta. In 2000, he had been attacked in the gate of A-Tuwani. So my grandma was like protecting him from the attacking, and they just like attacking all of the people there, my uncles, from the members of the village. And then my grandma, that in that year, she lost her eye. She couldn't see it that till that time, and she's died. While she was having a lot of like really bad experiences, and she was attacking while she was alive. Also in the day when she died, when we did her grave, as she asked for us to do her grave in the village here next our house. We did it to her. We were just like in the day of her death. Also the occupation members come to stop, putting her in her grave. So also when she was like died, also she was facing from the occupation the crimes by no reason, by no right. There is no rules that can make like giving them the right to do that. And then there is my brothers, Sami, there's Muhammad. They also have been attacked a couple of times in Sarura camp, also here in A-Tuwani. And then I want to speak about my experiences now. As I told you, I have been like living here in A-Tuwani village since my born. I was growing up by seeing all of this around me. It was really bad and sad to see all of that while I was really young and kid, my kidness. And then I want to tell you just about my education trip. While I was studying in school, I was just like going to have the education in my school. Why it was the simple right to have it here. We couldn't like use like to have it by like easily or by easy way. It was really hard also to have it or to continue your education trip. In my dream was since my like kid, I was planning to be a doctor. I was like focusing to be a doctor and go to scientific and study in the high school scientific. Like sadly, unfortunately, there weren't here in A-Tuwani village school. There wasn't psychology, scientific way to study it. So I just like have to travel from A-Tuwani to Al-Carmel area, which is really far than A-Tuwani, about 2 kilos. I just joined that school for a year, and it was the most heaviest year of my life that I really tried it, because I was just like trying to follow my dreams, to reach to my dreams. That year was so bad experiences there in that year. I was like, as I told you, having my simple right in that year. I was going to my school, my new school, to educate to to have my education. And then every day there were a checkpoint, stopped us for an hour in the morning, stopped us also 1 or 2 hours in the afternoon. So it was really late to me to go to school or to go back for home back. And it was also dangerous to my brother, who was like Muhammad, who he was driving me to the school and giving me back to home. So I felt that I'm putting myself and my family members in danger that year. And it was like really badly a way to how to stop the education move here in the mountain. So these the occupation plans that stop our life, to force us to leave from our life, from our lands. And so I tried as I can, like in that year, I continued that year, 11th grade in Al-Carmel. So then I was like, just like I said, that's enough. That was like really heavy for everyone to continue there in Al-Carmel school. So I just like decided to go back to A-Tuwani village to educate, to have my education here in literature. Alhamdulillah, I continue. It was really nice. It wasn't like what I was like really want, but it was a really nice experience also. And then I continue. Alhamdulillah, I succeed last year in literature. I got 90 from 100. It was the highest mark here. In my celebration party, I have to be happy. I have to be a celebration with people who came to my celebration party. We have to be happy that day. But sadly and unfortunately, that day also the occupation came and they attacked our house, and they stopped the fireworks. They stopped everything that we were planning for the party. So they are, the occupation plans is just like to stop our life moves. our life plans, all of that, just like focusing to make us and to do us like go out from this land, to move and leave from Masafer Yatta. But we are just like staying in our land. All of this is like just like trying from the occupation to make us forced to leave from our land. But inshallah, we will stay in our land and we'll be like appreciate, inshallah, forever.
Inshallah. Thank you, Gama. And
Grandma, as our grandmas did in the past.
yeah, inspiring to hear about your commitment and your achievements and your aspirations around psychology, literature, and the things that you've achieved. And I remember seeing those videos from the celebration party, from the Tajiri celebrations. If I remember right from the posts I saw, you did quite well, I remember. And then I remember the videos that Sammy posted of the soldiers coming and Basel filming, and your father, and also the Israeli, Jewish, and international solidarity activists filming outside of the house as the soldiers came
Yes,
in.
that day, all of the people, in that day, we were all happy because, in this 12 years of studying and working very hard to have this celebration in the end of your education trip in our house, having like a simple right to have it in our house in the end of the education school education trip. So when the people came for the invitation celebration party, they were all happy. Alhamdulillah, we were all happy in the beginning, but then they just came and like starting to pushing everyone, or attacking everyone, and they were searching about my brother, to arrested him for why. Also, there is my uncle Basil's dad. Also, he was there. They were also following him to arrested him. As the simple rights that we have to have it, we don't have it, and we couldn't reach for it.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's the best in our lives.
even a year later, I want to congratulate you on the successful scores and all that you've achieved since. And I really love the way, and it's powerful for me to hear the way that both you and Basil so far have really talked about your mothers, your grandmothers, and the tradition that you're carrying forward. I wanted to, exactly on that note, ask if you want to say a word about the Mothers of Sumud Garden and what inspired that project and maybe what's been happening there, also as a way to talk more about the last half year in specific. And we don't have endless time, so just because I want to make sure to give people room to hear different things and different important perspectives you'll share, but I'll ask you and Basil to share if you can, in not too comprehensive. And the great thing about this project is that inshallah, people will join and then be able to speak with you more and more in the future. And there'll be more time to get to know you and the community. So do you want to share more about Mothers of Sumud and about what's been happening the last half year so people can hear more about the present also?
Yes. Grandmother Sumud Garden. I want to tell you about the project from the beginning. All of us have a land which is really close for the settlements here in Masafer Yatta or everywhere in the West Banks here in Area Cs. So we have a land which is really close for the settlement of Ma'un and Habat Ma'un. So there is a road that comes between, it comes like between the two settlements, Ma'un and Habat Ma'un. Also this road reach for our land. It's called Al Khalli. So grandmother's Sumud Garden, it comes in this line of the road. It's really, really close for Habat Ma'un and Ma'un settlement. So the settlers were every day when we were like in the summer, in the winter times, they were coming just for the land and trying to, to show us that they are putting slowly their hands in our lands. So we were just like working on the idea is like to work in our lands, which is really close for the settlement. And it's really coming more dangerous, and we have to be more careful about these lands, which is really close for the settlement. It's really easily to the occupation to have it soon. So we were just like working very hard to start to do a really small, a simple garden in our land. and we started to build rock wall, stone walls around our land, and start to plant the trees. That means to us a lot. You know that the olive trees here, it means the sumud here in Palestine, and we started also to plant the grape trees, the fig also trees, all of these trees, and also flowers to give a life for the mountain, to give a life for this garden, for this land, which is really coming to be lost from us, lose from us. And this project started for like since 6 years, and we were like really working very hard. And I want to tell you a thing about this garden. Before the war, it was also really hard to work on it, and because it's really in the mountain, it was far from our house. We have every day to go from the morning till and also till the late afternoon, be in that garden. My dad every day where he was there from the morning till the late afternoon, planting trees, watering the trees, building the stone walls. Also, there were a team of our friends from America. They came and they helped with us in this garden. Couple of groups they came, and really I want to thank them. Some of them they are here in the call. Thanks for all of their helping and standing with us to make the project succeed. Alhamdulillah. Before the war, as I told you, my dad also, he was every day going for that garden. It was like just a program every day. To me, I was all of my time in my school studying before the war. And then once my dad, he has like all of us, has been a lot of really bad and sad experiences in the garden. Once my dad, he was watering the trees in the garden. He was with my brothers. He has been attacked in the late afternoon by the settlers who are from Bat Maon and Maon settlement. They tried to shoot him and to beat him, and they really attacked him very really bad and very crazy way. And it was really a big crime for us. That day, I want to tell you about my experience in that day. I was just studying for my final exam. I was in my room, and then I hear the shoot guns sound. I was like really shocked from where this sound is. I was like worried about my dad, and I just like go direct outside to see what is there. And they said, no, we didn't see or hear anything happened around. And then I go back because the next day was my final exam. So then I just hear the people around outside. They are just saying, "Yalla, fast, reach to Hafiz and put him and call the ambulance." I was like, I don't want to believe that is happening. So I was like just riding like crazy to reach my dad. I want to see my dad, and that moment I just like wish to stop that time. Like just to don't hear that happened, because if the settlers want to do a crime with somebody, like if they kill him, they don't like really like care. And I was just like crying, and I was just worried and scared about my dad. And when I reached there and I saw him like in the middle of the lot of blood, and he's just like collapsing in the ground, a lot of blood in his hands, he cannot like move any part of his body. It was like really the most like strong part of my life that I have seen till this moment. And that day also to having him in the ambulance, Palestinian ambulance, to having him to bring him for the hospital. They stopped him and they broke the wheels of the Palestinian ambulance. They want to arrested my dad. Why? Because the settlers say that my dad is trying to attacking them. So alhamdulillah, he went alhamdulillah about everything. So they took him with the ambulance, with the Israeli ambulance, to the hospital, and then they give him like really weak treatment. they still they keep him in arrest for a week, and then after a week of don't know anything about my dad, any informations. There is the lawyer, she told us about him that he is still in the hospital taking the treatment. We are just knowing that he is taking a treatment. What is the treatment? We don't know. After the week of he had his court, alhamdulillah, and he get free, he get out of the jail. And when he came and I saw him in really bad situation, he cannot move any part of his body, his hands, his arms are broken, his leg. It was a really bad time, and I was in my final exams time. It was really stress and very pressure time to me to face, and alhamdulillah, it passed by don't have any more more bad things to happen. After that experience, the war came. Before the war came, there were everyday daily attacks by the settlers for the garden, cutting the trees, broken and demolish the stone walls, and just cutting the watering lines. So for that I want to tell you, before the war also the situation was really bad. After the war it comes more worse, Now after the occupation, the war, everything is just going more worse. As I said, in the garden we cannot reach for the garden. Why? Because there is a illegal thing that's happening. The settlers are just wearing the uniform of the soldiers, wearing the soldiers' clothes, just to show that we are soldiers and we have the right to stay here until you don't be here in the land. And they have the guns, so they can shoot you or anybody in a blink of an eye. It is really bad situation, and it's really bad time. So till now, the garden, we didn't reach for it. Every time, every week, the settlers make a new strange things and bad things, like cutting the trees, planting trees, them to show us that they are putting already their hands in the land. We are trying to call the police every time to tell them that there is something illegal happening, and they what the police of the occupation will say. So they didn't do anything. And then I want to tell you about how is the experience is also for everyone here. It's really bad, and we cannot we are feeling inside that we are weak. We cannot do anything for our land, that we are having all of we spend all of our life just to protect this land, to save this land from the crimes or from lost it. But now we cannot do anything, because we all know that what is happening in Gaza is more and more big than what we are facing here in the West Bank. So we are just trying as we can here in the West Bank to protect our close things, our close people, our close land, as the garden. We are still till this moment we are trying as we can to protect it, but what we can say,
It's difficult, but thank you for sharing, and particularly highlighting the ways that you've invested so much in the Mothers of Sumud garden, in the figs and the trees. And I came one day after the settlers had destroyed it, and it was horrendous to see. But then I saw you and Samiha and others in the village replant. This was some time ago. And it's really all of you who have taught me and many of us in the solidarity communities what it means to be patient and be strong and be steadfast in the ways that all of you have shown time and time again. So I also am hopeful that both following your leadership and with solidarity from people on the ground and around the world, like this call, they'll be rebuilding again, and I'm sure that will be the case. Inshallah. Just for the sake of time, I'm going to move us towards another topic and ask you, Basel, if you can, to talk a little bit about the importance of solidarity. Earlier, Basel, you talked about the legal solidarity networks that were part of the popular struggle and part of the communal effort to win the school and the right to electricity. And Gamar, you mentioned the solidarity networks and activists that came to plant with you in the Mothers of Sumud Garden. Basel, I wanted to say, my friend in October, Khalil Abu Yahya from Gaza City, he said something to me that has stayed with me since. He said that the occupation is a weak system. It can't defeat feelings, the sincere feelings that we have. And he said the one positive thing about this catastrophe is that it brings true friends together, and it is true friendship and solidarity that is sustaining my hope and my ability to resist. So I wanted to ask you, Basel, why is solidarity important and what role does it play? How does it maintain your ability to imagine a future beyond military rule? Why is it important that people joining us today on this call build friendships and relationships of solidarity with communities on the ground directly in Masafer Yatta?
Yeah, solidarity important first of all when you come to the communities, when we in these communities, when shepherds, when people who's living, students who's facing attacks, feels or sees that there are other people in the world is cares about them, who come who's standing with them against the oppression, against the injustice that they are facing, it's meaning something very big inside the people. Like when we feel that we are not alone, that there are people who believes in our fight against the occupation, who's against this injustice, against this racism, against this violence that the Israeli army and settlers practice it in the daily life against us as Palestinians. It's very important. And second of all, it's for me, it's the only hope to change this is to come from outside, the pressure on the governments, because the occupation still got so much of its power from the Western governments, from the US, from Germany, from UK, from French, from Italy. Although, like, they see and they know what's happening, I'm talking about the governments. They see and they are like talking that they are against the occupation, against the settlements, but they done so far nothing in order to stop this. So we go to the other part, which is to the people in the US, to the streets in Germany, to tell the people that your government is doing wrong with your money, with the taxes that you are paying, and your money is hurting us, is killing us actually, when it's turned to weapons, when it's come as support and military aid to Israel, to the settlements. This is destroys our life, and this is need to stop. So solidarity means that we want the people there to vote for the right people, to protest, to act, to come in the field if they can, and to be in presence with us in the field in order to stop this. Otherwise, it won't stop. This and it's a real threats of our existence on our land.
Thank you. And highlighting the ways that we can do important work from wherever we are in the world to end diplomatic impunity, to end the impunity that the settlers and the soldiers and the military has on the ground, and the ways there are concrete connections between the reality on the ground and the political and reality and discourse around the world is so important. I want to ask you just to say a last few words, and then I'll ask you also, Gamar, about what you hope for yourself and your community, and what are the visions and dreams for yourself, A-Tuwani and Masafer Yatta, that you want to make real through solidarity, through popular resistance, through relationships between each other and your communities and with people around the world.
Well, first, I want to say that I really hope and wish, inshallah, Palestine will be free soon, inshallah. And I hope for my community, for me also, for my close people, for everyone here in Palestine to be in safe every time and to live in peace. And I want to tell you about my really soon future plans that I am going to, inshallah, to have it soon. that I am going now. I am taking courses of makeup and beauty stuffs. That's my dream, which is out that I took it. That's the step out that I took it out after the doctor. I was planning to be doctor, study doctor and clinical, all of that stuff. So then it's really far from doctor and scientific and all of the clinic stuffs. I'm now in the beauty way. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, I'm doing courses in Hebron and studying makeup and all of the skins kinds, hair, all of these stuff. Um, here in Masafer Yatta, there is nothing about these things in here. So we all here, when we need like all of these stuffs, we have to travel and to leave from A-Tuwani to go for the city like Yatta or Hebron to go and to get some stuff or something like that, to the salon, to the coiffeurs. So I'm going to opening my own salon, inshallah, in Masafer Yatta. And I hope it will work. I am finishing my courses in 2 months, inshallah, and I will open it. And then after that, while I'm doing the beauty stuffs in my own salon, inshallah, I will go and join the university, because I stopped that trip because of the war and all of this bad situation. So I think in my thinking way, that I will, inshallah, in the future will help my community, my close people, the people that I know here in the community, that they are like really working and doing very hard to try and to go for the salons or all of these places. Like now in the war, we all know that the move is really insane and it's really difficult. Like since the beginning of the war till now, so not everyone can go like if any time he wants from out like to outside of the area, like exactly for Hebron or for Yatta. So I'm just like thinking that I'm making the thing is like more short for the people who's around, inshallah, and make pray to me that will work.
I have no doubt that you'll be able to make that dream a reality. And both beauty and psychology, all these things are part of care and expression. And I'm so excited to see how things grow and how things develop going forward. Basel, I'll turn to you and ask you the same thing. Just any last words about what are the dreams, either personally or for A-Tuwani and Masafer Yatta, that keep you motivated, that keep you active and steadfast?
To be honest, I feel today very hopeless and very disappointed. That very, very hard to speak about hope while everything going on, like while people see watching a live genocide going on, and really can't, nobody have the power to stop this. So it's really like very hard to speak about the hope, but inshallah, like after all of this lack moments and after all of this destructions and killing and bloodbath, will be a final solution, that we don't live under this apartheid system and injustice, and we don't see settlers and soldiers around us.
Thanks, Basel. And of course, there's no denying how grim things are now and how difficult this moment is for everyone and for all of you on the ground. For me, if there's anything that can be gleaned or learned from this moment, it's how, at the least, people can come together like we're doing here, to understand the level of violence and the level of difficulty that faces us and any vision of a common future and justice. So really, thank you for those words. And now I just want to turn to Emily Glick, who is here with us also, a longtime solidarity activist who has worked with both Basel and Gamar for many, many years, along with many other communities and people, to talk about the solidarity networks that are happening on the ground and about the importance of solidarity and direct relationships with the communities.
Hello. Thanks, Era. Also, thank you, Gamar. My name is Emily. I am currently in Jerusalem, where I live. I have been active as a solidarity activist in this region for the past 5 years, primarily in the South Hebron Hills and in Masafer Yatta. I've been involved with a bunch of different efforts with internationals and Israelis here doing anti-occupation and anti-apartheid, and most recently anti-war organizing and activism here in Jerusalem and in Masafer Yatta. There's a few different networks of people that I have been a part of or still am part of. All That's Left Collective is a collective of international English speakers living in Jerusalem who organize together to fight against here. And we do a lot of solidarity and work with South Hebron Hills. I'm also involved with the Center for Jewish Nonviolence, which brings delegations of folks kind of like Green Olive Collective to the land over here to learn more about the solidarity and oppression that is and violence that is really happening on the ground here. And yeah, I really echo what Basel just said at the end there, that there is a lot of reason to not feel any hope these moments. And when Erez asked me to speak a bit on this panel about the solidarity efforts that I have been privileged with being able to be a part of in the past, it got me reflecting a bit on what feels like ages ago, like before the current war started in October, when there was a lot more opportunity for protest, co-resistance and protest together between internationals and Israelis and Palestinians. And a product, one of the many, many horrifying products of this moment has been a further difficulty to do co-resistance work. I am a photographer and I come at this work primarily through a visual lens, and I have spent a lot of time in the past 7 months out in the field documenting displacement, villages that have been abandoned out of threat from settlers and army in the West Bank, home demolitions, road closures, so many terrible problems that have only gotten, that obviously existed before October 7th and have only gotten worse since. I currently co-direct the Storytelling Project, which is an initiative in the South Hebron Hills that teaches students and activists and residents of the region to communicate their experiences and stories of living under occupation in English to audiences. So Gamar and Basel are both students of the Storytelling Project. I feel very blessed to be able to work with them and have worked with them for many, many years now. And yeah, we do a lot of creative visual storytelling work on how to explain these really grotesque systems and stories in ways that can be shared, and hopefully that sharing can have ripple effects of change being made. I just want to share one example of a solidarity effort that a bunch of different organizations partook in a few years ago to build a campaign around Masafer Yatta. Masafer Yatta is a region in the South Hebron Hills, but there are 12 villages inside Masafer Yatta that the Israeli army has declared a military training ground. It's a firing zone. So these 12 villages are under threat of expulsion because the army has declared that their land is by the state and can be trained on by the military. So this court case passed in 2022, and in the lead up to it and in the aftermath of this court case, a bunch of beautiful co-resistance took place to organize an effort to get Masafer Yatta as a household name. So I'm going to share my screen. Is that okay, Eris?
Of course.
Okay, great. As I said, I am a share. Share screen. Great. Can we all see this?
We can see.
Great. So one piece of the campaign to save Masafer Yatta that we did back in 2022 was I, with a team of other activists, took portraits of a number of people from the villages in Masafer Yatta, and we made them into posters. These ones are in English, but we also had them in Hebrew and in Arabic. And we printed these as giant posters and plastered them all over the walls and bus stops and electricity gates and anything we could find in Jerusalem, Haifa, and Tel Aviv. So here is some examples of people walking around the streets of these cities in Israel with the portraits of residents of Masafer Yatta on them. And the goal of this campaign was to really bring the faces and stories and to shatter the notion that these people are numbers and don't exist, which is how the Israeli military and Israeli state regards them, to bring their faces and stories to the streets of major Israeli cities. And so to say, we exist, we are real people, we have real stories, and the state is trying to erase us. So this was this was one part of an action. Also, we organized lots of protests in Masafer Yatta itself, organized buses of Israeli and international activists. This is Basel marching in A-Tuwani back in 2022. The sign behind him says, "Stop demolishing our homes." This is a protest that happened after Gamar's father, Hafez, was arrested after he was beaten in his own garden, the story that Gamar was telling earlier. Again, this was a moment of organizing a lot of international and Israeli solidarity activists to come protest with the residents of A-Tuwani. This was another protest to save Masafer Yatta that the army tried to stop. And of course, used all sorts of violent tactics of crowd dispersal with tear gas and stun grenades to try to stop us from standing in solidarity with each other. Also here and here. And then there's a whole network that has been built in the past many years of solidarity activists spending weeks or months in the South Hebron Hills, in Gamar and Basel's basements some of the time, and really being there to witness and to film and to document the atrocities that the settlers and the army are enacting, and also to call the police and call the army in these instances. More to say about that as a tactic, but there has been a pretty sustained cycle of solidarity activists living in the region for the past few years. And these are just all moments that the army shows up and there are activists around. I think that's all I have in my slideshow, so I'll stop. But yeah, just to say that I feel very lucky to be able to stand in solidarity with people like Gamar and Basel. They are truly my role models. I live in Jerusalem, as in I go down to Masafer Yatta a few times a week, and I'll continuously feel in awe of both of their resilience to the horrific systems that surround us all, and particularly them and their communities. And yeah, I guess that the point of my spiel is that solidarity is important. Turn it back to yours.
Thanks, Emily. Thanks as always for the incredible and stunning visuals and documentation that really showcase the reality on the ground, the civil resistance efforts led by the communities that solidarity activists participate in, and the ongoing movements that we're attempting to build locally and internationally to create whatever change is possible. With that, unfortunately, we're out of time for today. Basel and Gamar, do you have any very quick last words you want to share?
Do you want? Okay, I really am so happy to be with you in this call and to share with you all of that things that I said. I want to tell you that's my first time to speak in really big call. So, and really my English, I'm just like working on, as Emily said, I'm just like studying with her. She is my teacher in storytelling. Also, there is Shira. They are all my teachers. They are teaching us how to do our stories and how to tell it for the people, you know. This time it was the first, so I'm really proud for to be in the first time to me in this big call with you, and I'm really so happy to find a huge number and like you, a people that they are interested and they are like just like want and they are like interest on our life and our stories and our you know, Palestinian life and how is the occupation is doing just crimes here in the land, and to just like make that you believe that we have the right to live here in our land. That's really enough to me, and really thanks to hear our stories.
Thank you, Gamar. Truly, thank you for joining us today. And I can't wait to be in touch in the future. And I'm sure it will not be the last time that you speak so wonderfully and powerfully with many, many people. Basel, do you have any last words you want to share?
No, thank you. Thanks for everybody who joined this. Thank you, Iris, for organizing it. It's important.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for the perspective you shared, and the leadership you show as always. So with that, unfortunately, we have to close for today. Thanks, Gamar, Basel, and Emily, first and foremost, and thanks to everyone here on this call for joining from around the world and for the launch of the Green Olive Solidarity Network to hear more about this opportunity to engage in direct solidarity, advocacy, and mutual aid with Palestinian communities living under military rule. Here again is the link with all the relevant information that we will also send in an email about the initiative, and please feel free to reach out to me anytime for more information or to speak about starting a solidarity circle in your community. And I just want to say, really, everyone is welcome, and this is an opportunity for us to continue from this point forward to build relationships on the ground, to have more and more insight and contact and build together a movement that's able to create change as much as we can in competition and in solidarity with one another. If you are not able to form a solidarity circle, but do want to support our work and support the communities on the ground, please also feel free to become a member of the Green Olive Collective regardless. All membership contributions will go to support work days like you saw in Emily's photos, initiatives on the ground, and in partnership with the communities to launch new international campaigns in direct support of communities facing land expropriation and settler violence, and continue highlighting Israeli and Palestinian voices, insisting, especially now, that only freedom, equality, and an end to the ongoing Nakba can bring a future of dignity for all. Lastly, and on a separate note, the Green Olive Collective is hosting a series of solidarity missions in 2024, advancing solidarity across borders and a democratic future. We completed our first solidarity mission just this last week, and our next mission is in September. So if you want to join on the ground in Masafer Yatta, in the north of the West Bank in Ida refugee camp, do look at the information, and we'd love to have you join or follow us on social media for more information also. And with that, true and sincere thanks to everyone here, and I hope we can move together to create more and more relationships and a more and more robust network and infrastructure of solidarity into the future. Have good and peaceful days, and support to all of you around the world calling for justice. We'll send a recording of this event tomorrow, and we'll see everyone soon. Much thanks and have wonderful days. And Emily, Gamar, and Basel, have quiet nights and talk soon.